How are you? I'm hoping you're well. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this lab, I'm going to take you through how to configure a wireless local area network. This is lab 6 of the HCIA Datacom professional certification. About this lab, so we know that wired LANs are expensive and they lack mobility, yet there is an increasing demand for portability and mobility because of the bring your own device era that we are in right now. So wireless local area networks is the most cost efficient and convenient network access modes because it allows users to move within the covered area. So in this lab we are going to configure a wireless local area network using access points and using FIT APs, using access controllers AC and using FIT APs. By the end of this lab, you should be able to understand how to authenticate APs, how to configure wireless local area profiles, and also understand the basic WLAN configuration process. Okay, so the network topology. So in the initial topology here, they're using a switch which is acting as the AC. So some version of Huawei switches can be able to act as ACs. But on my topology, I have just used an AC. Particularly, I've just used this AC here, AC6005. So that's what I've used. So I've not used a switch there. Okay. So that is what they were saying here, that you can either use the switch, but if it doesn't support, then you can use the AC. So for me, I've used the AC because I tried with the switch and it didn't work in the beginning. Okay, number 2, the AC is deployed in an out-of-path mode. So we know that we have in-path and out-of-path. So out-of-path means data really is not going to pass through. Data is not going to pass through the AC. Then here, we are using a layer 2 network, So really, we've connected the AC via switches, so no layer 3. So this is layer 2. That means really that the APs are going to discover the AC using the broadcast mode, for example. Okay. Then the AC functions as the DHCP server to assign IP addresses to APs, while S1 DHCP server to assign IP addresses to the stations. So that is exactly what I have indicated here. SC DHCP server for APs, while S1 here DHCP server for the stations. Okay, let's see what else we're being told here. Service data is directly forwarded. That is what we've explained here, that it is out of path mode. So service data will just be passed from the station to the AP to switch 3 to switch 1 and to the egress router or aggregation switch. Okay, so the data planning. An enterprise needs to create a WLAN to provide mobility in the workplace. So let me just take you through this. The AC, we're going to have 2 VLANs, VLAN 100 and VLAN 101. VLAN 100 is for the APs. VLAN 101 is for the stations. So all these links are going to be trunk, including these ones that are connecting to the AP, and they're going to allow pass packets that are tagged with either a VLAN ID of 100 or 101. On the other hand, the APs, so that they can be on VLAN 100, we are going to configure this interface on switch 3 and on switch 4 that are connected to the APs with a PVID of 100. Okay, then on S1 and on the AC, we're going to configure a VLAN interface and give them that IP address. So this IP address is the one that we're going to use as the CAPWAP source interface address that is going to be used by the APs to communicate to the AC. Then this VLAN if 101 on switch 1, we're going to use this IP as the gateway. It's going to be like the gateway for the stations, really. So we're going to configure this as the DHCP server and give this IP address as the gateway address. Okay, what else do we need to say here? Okay, I think that is it. So I have already said that the IP pool, of course, just going to be the IP address for that particular network. So for the APs, 100.1, while for the stations, 101.1. Okay, then we're going to create an AP group. We're going to call it AP group 1 hyphen group 1. We're also going to create a regulatory profile with the name default, country code CN, SSID profile, the name of our Wi-Fi. So, and the SID name, HCIA hyphen WLAN. We're also going to create a security profile with that name, and we're going to use the WPA and WPA2 for authentication, PSK, and AES for encryption. And the password we're going to use is HCAI-datacom. And lastly, we'll create a VAP profile, which now we are going to bind all the profiles that we've created above. And specify the service VLAN as VLAN 101, and the forwarding mode of the VAP as direct forwarding. So that is what we're going to do. So let's begin. We begin by step 1, configuring the name of the devices. I really haven't done that, so let us just do it. Okay, so for the AC, we want to just call it AC like that. And then we have S1, S1, S3, and SO. Okay, so I tried using the command S name, but it seems the APs do not have that command, so I'm unable to name it for now. So please bear with me. But I'm gonna find out later how this is supposed to be done. So I couldn't be able to name this, for example, AP2 unrecognized command found at that position. Okay, so we'll just be referring to this name on the tab to know whether we are on AP3 or AP4, but really there's no configuration that you're going to be doing here. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at step number 2. No, before step number 2, we are supposed to configure the interfaces that are connecting to the APs. We are supposed to configure them as PoE by using the command PoE enable. PoE enable. Really, when a port detects a powered device, PD, connected to it, the port supplies power to the PD. By default, the PoE function is enabled. Now, while I was practicing for this lab, I also realized that these switches do not support that particular command, but indeed they provide power and they're powering the APs. So for example, in S3, if I go to G004 and I use PoE enable, you can see really that we don't have that command P. So we don't have the PoE command, we don't have it. Okay, this is something totally different. Okay. Okay, but it works. So you just go on like that. Okay. So let's look at what next. So we now configure the wired network by configuring the VLANs. So we configure the VLANs by going to the specific interfaces, configuring them as trunk, and allowing pass VLAN 100 and VLAN 101. So just that. Then after doing that, we can be able to now create the VLAN interface. The VLAN interface 101 on switch 1 and 100 on the AC. Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin, for example, on S1. We will be looking on the background to see the interfaces that we are supposed to configure. So let's begin with creating the VLANs, by the way. So VLAN batch 100 space 101, or you can use 101. Then we can go into int g 0 stroke 0 stroke 10, as you can see on the background there. Then port, link type, trunk. Then I'll just paste that there to allow packets that are tagged with VLAN ID of 100 and 101 to pass through. So that's all we need to do there. Then we now go to the next interface, G0013, that is connecting to S3. So port, link type, trunk. Then we go into int G0014, port, link type, trunk. Then port trunk allow pass VLAN 100 and 101, like that. Okay, so that is it. That is it about S1. We can now go to the AC and create the VLAN using the VLAN batch command. VLAN batch 100, 101. Then we go to the interface G001. So on the lab they used G0010, but for me I've used G001, so be careful there. So port, link type, trunk, port trunk allow pass 101, and that is it. So we can go ahead and do so also on S3. So on S3 we can go into int G001. Oh, we can create the VLAN first. So VLAN batch 100, 101. Then int G001, port, link type, trunk, allow pass that. Okay. Then you can go into int G004. Remember G004, as you can see on the background, we are supposed to configure it to the PVID of 100. So port, link type 100, trunk. Then port trunk, PVID 100. Okay, and recognize command. Okay, let me see. Oh, VLAN 100. Okay. Then we can allow pass 100 and 101, like that. So we are done with that. We can now go to S4 and do the same configuration. So on S4 we want to create VLAN batch 100 and 101, and then we want to go into the interface G001, port, link type, trunk, allow pass 100 and 101. Then you can go into int G004, port, link type, trunk, port, trunk, PVID, VLAN 100. Then we can allow pass. Okay. So with that, we are done with the VLAN configuration. You can always use the command VLAN display VLAN to find out if you've configured correctly. So we can see, for example, that on VLAN 100, we can carry untagged through G004, and you can carry tagged through G001. So I think that is okay. So you can use the same command to confirm on S1 and S2. On the AC, you can use the command. Okay. You can use the command display VLAN brief. Display VLAN brief, BR, brief, to see the VLANs that you have created and the interfaces that you've added or you've allowed. So we've enabled G001 to carry both tagged packets of VLAN 100 and VLAN 101. Okay, now the next thing will be now to create the VLAN interfaces on the AC. So we create VLAN if 100 and give it this IP address, and on S1 we create this. So that's what we want to do now. So on the AC we do int VLAN if 100, then IP address 192.168.100.254.24, just like that. So quit. Then you can do the same on S1. So interface VLAN if 101, IP address 192.168.101.254.24. Okay. So once we are done with that, the next thing now will be, let's see. The next thing now will be to configure DHCP. Remember, we want to configure S1 as our DHCP server for the stations. So we are going to call that IP pool STA, give it the network address and the mask there, and we specify the gateway as the VLAN if interface that we've just created. After we've done that, we go to the VLAN if interface and use the command DHCP select global to enable that interface to be able to issue IP addresses from the global pool. So similarly, we're also going to go to the AC, use that command to enable, create an IP pool called AP, give it the network address, the gateway address, and enable the VLAN if 100 interface to be able to use the global DHCP. So let's do exactly that. Okay. So here we use DHCP enable. Then we create IP pool. The name is AP because it's going to be giving IP addresses to AP. So AP like that. And then we can use the network command. So network 192.168.100.0 mask 24. Then you can use the gateway list to specify the IP address of the gateway 100.254, like that. So after that, we can go into the interface VLAN if 100 and use DHCP select global. Okay, so we do the same thing on S1. So DHCP enable. Then we create an IP pool. We call it APA. We call it STA for station. Then we can use the network command, network 192.168.101.0 mask 24. Then gateway list 192.168.101.254, like that. And then you can quit. Then get into the VLAN if interface. So interface VLAN if 101. and we use the command DHCP select global, like that. Okay. Okay, so that is it. That is it up to there. So we've been able to configure the AC and S1 as uh, as uh, as DHCP servers. Okay, so let's go ahead now to step number 3. On step number 3, we now want to configure the APs in order to bring them online. So we begin by creating an AP group. All this configuration being done on the AC. So we start by getting on the wireless LAN view. Then we use the command AP group name AP group 1. So that's the name that we want to give to that particular AP. So let's just do that. So AP group. So if you cannot be able, if you're using a switch and you can't be able to get into the WLAN view, then you just know that that switch does not support that particular feature. So you need to use an AC. Okay, so we want to call it AP-group 1. Okay, so quit. The next thing we want to do is to create the regulatory domain profile with the name default. With the name default. So we need to create that regulatory domain profile name default. Okay. After creating that, we now need to specify the country code. So country code, K for example, Kenya is KE. Unfortunately, it's not on this list. So I'll just use the default, which is CN for China. If I press enter, it says that the current country code is the same with the input country code. Reason being, China is the CN is the default country code. The country code is important. The country code is important because different countries require different AP radio attributes, including the transmit power and supported channels. So the correct country code really ensures that you are complying with the local laws and regulations. So that is the purpose of configuring the country code. Okay, so now let's bind the regulatory domain profile to the AP group we just created. Okay, so we quit, go back to the WLAN view, and then we use the command AP group name AP group 1 to get into the AP group. Then we use the command regulatory domain profile, and we want to use the default profile. Default is going to ask you, do you want to do this, because it's going to affect power, antenna gain configurations, and it will restart the APs. Yes, we want to do it. Okay. So after that, we want to specify the source interface of the CAPWAP tunnel, the source address of the CAPWAP tunnel. So to do that, we use the command CAPWAP source interface VLAN if 100. So we need to be on the system view of the AC. So the command is CAPWAP source interface VLAN if 100. VLAN if 100. So it's going to use the IP address of VLAN if 100 as the source interface address for the CAPWAP interface. Now, the next thing is to import the APs to the ACs. We can add the APs to AP group 1. Now, we know that we can add the APs to the AC in one of 3 ways. Manual configuration, where we pre-configure the MAC address and serial numbers of the APs on the AC in advance. Most of the time when the AC is offline, really. Now, we also have automatic discovery and manual confirmation. With automatic discovery, you've whitelisted the MAC addresses and serial numbers of the APs. And therefore, when they connect, they automatically discover the AP and they are authenticated. On the other hand, you can use manual configuration. This is where you've set either the authentication as MAC or serial number authentication, but the MAC address of this AP is not included in the whitelist of the AC, and therefore the AC will simply add that AP to the list of unauthorized APs until you manually confirm by clicking on maybe authorize this AP to join the AC. So here you have to manually add from unauthorized to authorized. So that's what manual confirmation is. In this particular example, we are going to be using the authentication mode you're going to be using is MAC address authentication, and we are going to be using manual configuration by specifying the MAC address of the AP. So let's exactly use these two commands to do that. So you need to be on the WLAN view, and then you use AP auth mode. So you can see if I do question mark, we have no authentication. We have MAC authentication and serial number authentication. So we want to use MAC. Okay. Then after that, while on this view, we can use the command IP ID. We give it 0 AP MAC. Then we specify the MAC address of the AP. To get the MAC address of the AP, I don't know why they didn't tell us that in this lab, but I used the command display. Is it system information? System information, yes. Display system information. So what happens is when you do that on the AP, you get the MAC address. So the MAC address is here. So I can just copy it. That's the MAC address of my first AP, AP3 there. Then here, let me just do question mark so that you see that I am supposed to specify the AP MAC address in this format. So if you use any other format, it can't work. So paste, enter. So you see, if I use that format that I've copied there, it can't work. So I need to simply delete that, replace that with that, delete the full colon, replace this one like that, delete that. So that's how you do it. Okay. After that, we need to, while we are in this view, the APID view, we need to create an AP name. So AP name AP1, like that. Then the last thing we're going to do here is do this command to bind this particular AP with AP group 1. Okay, so let's do that. So AP name AP1, then AP group AP group 1, the group we created earlier. Do you want to do this? Yes. Okay. Okay, so once we are done, we now need to create another AP ID for the other AP. Then we create the name, then the group. We bind the group to this particular AP ID. Okay, so let's do exactly that. So we want to create AP ID 1. The previous one was 0. Then AP MAC. Then you can come here to this AP4 and use the command display system information. So the MAC address of this AP is here. Copy. Then I can paste it and replace and format it to the required format. Okay, good. Okay, then I can create the AP name. So AP name AP2, then AP group, we're still adding it to AP group 1, like that. Do you want to do this? Good. Okay, so once we are done, we can be able to display the information about the current AP that have been added to the AC by using the command display AP all. So this command should be used on the WLAN view. So display AP all. Okay. Oh, here there is a fault. On AP2 there is a fault. The status is fault, but at least this one has worked. So you can see this one for the first AP. You can see that it is on AP group 1. It has been given an IP address 100.244. And you can see the type of device, just the version of the device, AP2050. You can see that the state is normal, but this one is faulty. So we're going to troubleshoot to find out why. Okay, we're going to troubleshoot to find out why there's a problem on that one just now. Okay, so for this AP3 it's working, but for this one it's not working. Let's, for example, do a data capture so that we can see some of the packets for the cap-warp tunnel. Let's just see whether we're going to see them. Good. So you can see the cap-warp control packets, echo request, echo response that are used to maintain the control tunnel. Okay. So you can also see the discovery request packet. So this one is being sent, the discovery packet. So I just took a screenshot of this. So you can see normally during the cap-warp tunnel procedure, we begin by IP address allocation, where the DHCP, the AP is assigned an IP address, then cap-warp tunnel establishment. During the establishment, then we have the discovery request and discovery response, then join request, join response. Then if this one is optional, image data request and image data response. If the system files of the AP need to be updated, then that will take place. But we use keep alive to maintain the data tunnel, while we use the echo request to maintain the control tunnel. Okay. So those are some of the packets that you can see there. Okay, so let's find out why. Let's find out why this other AP has not been added. Maybe we can do a data capture here to find out if it's able to send any requests. There must be something we missed. Okay. So at least okay. So let's just find out the status for now. Display all. Oh, good. So actually it was in the process. So now it's working. So there's no problem really. So it has also been assigned, and now the state is normal. So please do not proceed beyond this point if your APs have not been assigned an IP address and the state is not normal here. Do not proceed. It simply means that you've made a mistake either in your VLAN configurations, most likely in your VLAN configurations, and in your links configuration. So make sure you sort that out before you get here. For example, when I was trying out this lab, I had forgotten to configure a PVID for G004. and because of that, my APs could not be assigned an IP address by the AC. So don't do that mistake. Make sure you configure this with a PVID of 100. Okay, so now that that has worked, we can go on to step number 4. Here we want to configure the WLAN service parameters. So we create a security profile. We name it HCIA WLAN. Then we configure this security configuration, Wi-Fi protected access. So let's do that on the AC. So we are supposed to be on the WLAN view. So the command is security profile. Then you give it a name, HCIA WLAN, like that. Then I'll just paste this command. So the command is security, and then we want to use WPA and WPA2. So our stations can be authenticated with either of them. Wi-Fi protected access. Then we're using pre-shared keys, and the pre-shared key that we are using is HCAI.com. So that can be any other value. So we are using the passphrase is HCAI.com, and the encryption algorithm we are using is AES. So that is that command really. Okay. So after that, we can go ahead and create the SSID profile. It's easy to create an SSID profile. So you create the profile and you give it a name. Then you give the SSID the name, which now is going to give. This is going to be the name of your Wi-Fi. So that's how we do it. Okay. So let's do it. You need to be on the WLAN view, and then SSID profile name. We want to use HCI WLAN. Then here we simply do SSID question mark. So you see, you can enter the the text, which will now be the SSID name. So SSID. Oh, sorry. Okay. So SSID. The name is HCIA WLAN, like that. Okay. So once you're done with creating that, we can go ahead and create the VAP profile. So to create the VAP profile, we use the command VAP profile, then name, then we give it a name. We're still going to use HCAI-WLAN. Then after that, on the VAP profile view, we can be able to configure the forward mode and also configure the service VLAN ID. So that's exactly what we want to do. Then after that, we can be able now to bind it with the security profile and the SSID profile that we created earlier. So that's what we want to do on this particular stage. Okay, so quit. So we want to do VAP profile. The name is HCIA WLAN. Then we want to configure the forward mode. So the forward mode can be direct forwarding or tunnel forwarding. I hope you understand the difference. When you get time, you can also read about that. So for now, we are using direct forwarding. Then service VLAN ID. So VLAN ID for the stations, we want it to be 100. So enter. After we are done with that, we can now bind this. In this profile, we can now add or bind it with the security profile and the SSID profile that we created. So security profile HCIA WLAN, Then the other one is the SSID profile. SSID profile, HCIA WLAN. Good. So after we are done with that, we are done with configuring the WLAN. We are done with configuring the VAP profile. So after configuring the VAP profile, the next thing now is to bind the VAP profile to the AP group and apply all configurations in the VAP profile, that to radio 0 and radio 1 of the APs in the AP group. Okay, so to do that we need to get into the AP group that we created earlier, AP group 1. Okay, so still on the WLAN view, we get into the AP group name, AP group 1. Then we use the command VAP profile, then the name of the VAP profile we just created, radio all. Okay. So this command, VAP profile command, binds a VAP profile to a radio. So after this command is executed, all configurations in the VAP, including the configurations in the profiles, are bound to the VAP and are delivered to the radios of the APs. And so all configurations have now been delivered. Okay, so we are done with the configurations, ladies and gentlemen. Now we want to verify what we've just configured. How to verify? We can connect the station to the WLAN SSID, enter the password. Then you remember, did we create this, by the way? Did we create a loopback interface on S1? I doubt so. Let me just, but we can ping the stations. We can ping from the station to the IP address of the loopback interface. If we didn't create it, we'll just create it right away. We can also use the command on the AC, display station all, to see if we have any stations that have been connected. You see now, after configuring, you see how the topology has changed. So automatically it shows that all this area is covered with Wi-Fi. So this is our BSS, our basic service set, covered by Wi-Fi from AP3. These are the areas circled here covered by Wi-Fi by AP4. Okay. So let's do two things. First of all, we can come to the AC here. We can quit. Then use the command display AP all. Not really. We wanted to use display station all, really, in order to view the stations. Okay. So display station all. Okay. So you can see for now, no station has been connected, because we'll have the station MAC address, the VLAN they belong to, the IP address they've been assigned, and the SSID they've connected to, and the AP they've connected to. But we don't have any so far because we've not connected. So to connect, you need to come to the station, double click it to open it up. So you'll be on this tab, VAP map. You'll be on this tab. So on this tab, make sure DHCP is selected. Then you'll see the available Wi-Fi here on this list, VAP list. So you can click, for example, on this one. You can see the status is disconnected. So click connect. Click on it, then click connect. So it's going to ask you for a password. So just enter the password. The password was HCII Datacom. HCAI.com if I'm not wrong. Okay. Obtaining an IP address. Okay. Connected. Good. Connected. So once it's connected, you can come here to the command prompt. You can come here to the command prompt and use the command IP config to see the IP address that it has been assigned. So you can see, for example, we've been assigned this IP address 192.168.101.253. So you can use the ping command to ping 10.0. I'm not sure whether we created that loopback. If we didn't create it, we'll just go and create it. 1.1. Okay, so we didn't create the loopback on S1. So let's just create the loopback on S1. So here on S1, display IP int brief. Okay, so we don't have loopback 0, so we can just create it. So int loop 0 IP address 10.0.1.124. So this particular loopback we're creating here is simply used to simulate a network that has been connected to S1. So for example, if we had connected S1 to an aggregation switch, layer 3 switch, so we want to ping that layer 3 switch from the station to see whether that is going to be possible. Okay, so now let's do the ping again, and boom, wonderful. We are able to ping 10.0.1.1 from the station, meaning that the station now is able to access the internet, for example. So I hope that is clear. Okay, let me just close this. I want to do a data capture again, so that when you connect this station, for example, you can see the DORA process. So let me do a data capture there. Then I can filter because I don't want that. I just want you to see the DORA. So DHCP, just want DHCP packets. Okay. Okay. So I want to connect this station 2, VAP map. I just come here, and you can double click it, by the way, to connect to it. Then you enter the password, HCIA-datacom. It's caps up to the D, then the rest are lowercase. Obtaining an IP address. So if we come here, we can be able to see the DORA process. You can be able to see the DORA process, that device has sent a discover packet. Then who offered, you can see the source 101.254. So you can see the stations are indeed getting their IP addresses from S1, from S1. It's the one that has this IP address 254, 101.254. So you can see from here that indeed this station is getting an IP address from this guy. This guy is the one that is offering. Okay. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I think that is about it for this lab. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them on the comment section so that we can continue interacting. I hope you've learned. Thank you very much for your support. Remember to like this video if you've learned from it, and also to subscribe to my channel and share this great content with your colleagues and friends. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now. Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot something. we were supposed to check the connected devices by using this command. Okay, display station all. Display station all. So you can see that indeed we have this station that has been connected on the band 2.4G, and this station has also been connected. They are both on VLAN 101, their respective IP address. This one has been given 252. This one has been given 253, and indeed we can confirm that from the IP config commands. This one 253, station 1, 253. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, asanteni sana, bye bye.